YouTube today, just for 20 minutes or so, just for our quick review. And then we'll go and have a look at a few other things later on. Okay. Right then. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to continue with what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we introduced gerunds for the first time. Now, some people pronounce that gerund. I think Alan might pronounce it gerund. I pronounce it gerund. I'm not sure exactly what it should. Gerund feels a bit better to me, but it doesn't matter. What's important is that we understand what one is. So we'll review that in a moment. And then we also said sometimes when you follow a verb, you use a gerund. Sometimes when you follow a verb, you use an infinitive. And sometimes you can use an infinitive after a verb or a gerund after the same verb. And sometimes the meaning doesn't change and sometimes it does. So English is strange in that way. What we're going to do today is we're going to introduce some other verb patterns. We'll do a quick review first of infinitives and gerunds. Then we'll have a look at a few other verb patterns that are likely for you to do in IELTS and in OET. Okay, so let's go and have a look. Yeah, here we go. So verb patterns. So we're just going to do a very, very quick review. There might have been some people who weren't here yesterday. Let's have a look at this together. So I'm just going to choose some people at random to help me. So let me go for Fauzia. Are you there, Fauzia?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you ever visit your parents?
Yes,
Okay. So do you like that?
of course.
Okay. Well, you say of course. Some people don't.
No.
I'm the same as you. I really like my family. So okay. So what would you put here? I always enjoy.
I always enjoy visiting my family.
Visiting,
Visiting my
exactly.
parents, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got that verb. We call this a verb pattern. It's a strange one because obviously the verb is to visit, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the verb. People call this verb patterns, even though really that is not a verb anymore, is it? What is that? Visiting?
Visiting is a continuous tense.
Well, no, not in this case. No, it's a noun. It's a gerund.
No, yeah, yeah.
Just like I enjoy cakes. I enjoy your company.
Yeah.
Okay, so I enjoy holidays. So it's a noun that comes after it. However, it's the concept is a verb, isn't it? To visit. Just like I enjoy watching movies, the verb is to watch. But when we
Yeah.
use it after the word enjoy, we have to turn it into a gerund, into a noun.
No, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Fauzia.
Thank
Okay,
you.
how about Perrine?
Yes.
How about the next one? I spent 3 hours. What did I do?
Waiting for the bus?
Oh, did I hear Anna's voice then?
Yes.
Nice to have you back
Good
in the
morning.
class, Anna, but I was asking Perrine there. Okay, so
Okay.
waiting. Yes, so to spend. Okay, you spend, and then that's followed by waiting, isn't it? Have you ever waited 3 hours for a bus, Perrine?
No.
Do you know what the record? I think. Well, actually, let's have a competition. What's the longest anybody's ever waited for a bus in this class? Has anyone got a record? I know how long mine is.
All
6 hours.
half an hour.
Half
2
an
hours.
hour, 6 hours, 2 hours,
1 hour.
12 hours for me.
For a whole night.
A whole night, yes. Me and Sophia are the same.
I think, Paul, you slept there 12
I did.
hours.
I
You
slept
should
there.
change the route.
Honestly, I slept there more than once when I was waiting for that bus. It was you know what? It was a very strange journey. I was traveling down from Bangkok to Kuala Lumpur on a bus. So from Thailand into Malaysia. And we got the bus and we got delayed. And I had to stay. I can always remember the name of the place because it's a very English sounding. The place was called Port Butterworth. Doesn't sound very Malaysian, but Port Butterworth. I had to sit on the floor for 12 hours. It was crazy. Everyone was going mad. The toilets were not capable of coping with it. There was no food. Oh, it was really crazy. Okay, but 3 hours still, that would be very frustrating. Okay, how about then Perrine? Just Perrine. Okay, I considered. Now, what do you think you put here? I considered something a child, but decided to adopt. So decide to adopt. Obviously, we're following with the infinitive there, aren't we? What do you
Yeah.
think it could be here, Perrine? What's a verb that you could put in there?
Admit. Admit.
No, not admit, because what does it mean to adopt?
To
To
give.
have.
It's not,
Bearing a child.
well, bearing, I suppose you could say. It's not very common to say that. You would normally say having.
Having.
Yeah, you're right. The
Conceiving.
grammar is right. Consider having,
Yeah, consider.
but you wouldn't consider to have, or consider to bear, or consider to adopt. So you can see here you've got consider having, but here you've got decide to do something, decide to adopt. So to adopt means the child is already born. It's maybe in a bad situation with no parents. So you can take that child and you can be the parents to it for it. Okay. Okay. Next one. Now this one, I'm looking for something called a phrasal verb. So I want here a verb plus a preposition. So I'm going to ask Sophia. Sophia.
Yes.
Now, first of all, do you think it's going to be a gerund or an infinitive? For number 4, I agreed.
I agreed to look after.
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I agreed to look after. Okay, so look after is a phrasal verb, isn't it?
Yes.
Would you look after next door's dog, Sophia?
I won't take that risk and all. I
You would,
cannot.
you wouldn't do it. Do you not like dogs?
Yes, I don't like dogs.
Okay. It depends what kind of dog it was for me. I like some dogs, but other dogs I'm scared of. Okay. Okay. How about number 5? Let's go for Luis. Are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Hi, Luis. Okay. I often offer something dinner when I go to mum's house. Now, what do you think the verb is going to be here?
Infinitive.
Okay. I often offer.
To cook.
You're a very good son. Yeah. I often offer to. Do you cook often, Luis?
Yeah, I like of.
You like? Do you make ceviche?
Yeah, this is the most famous dish.
I've got a question for you, Luis. I met a Chilean guy at the weekend, and he gave me a bottle of pisco.
Okay.
That-
But the pisco is made in Peru.
I know. He said it. He said it was Chilean. I said, "Are you sure it's not Peruvian?" Yeah, it's a big.
That's why that is that Chile people means, but
Mhm.
I not agree.
And I think it's the same with ceviche, isn't it?
Yeah,
People argue about where it comes from. Yeah. Okay. So just in case you don't know, ceviche is a delicious dish. It's
yeah,
fresh white fish, I think. Fresh white fish
white fish
with
and
lime.
lime.
It's delicious. It's really, really good. I tell you what, though, Luis, I had a really nice Mexican dish once. It was like ceviche, but it had avocado sort of squashed into the lime. So it was like a sauce. It was really nice. Anyway, okay. So why don't we say here now? This is where we're going to move into a different section of the class. So if I choose Ushani, are you there, Ushani?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you've got a couple of options now with advise. So you can either use one way or you can introduce an object. Go on, tell me.
I like to do in infinitive.
Okay. So advised,
Advice to avoid smoking.
advised to avoid smoking. Now you're very close, Ushani, but the problem is
Stop.
in order to use it, you need an object. Yeah. So
Just need to
And
avoid.
me.
yeah, advised me, and we'll have a look at that later. So that is a good sentence. I'm happy with that. But if we don't put the object in, we use the gerund. The doctor advised avoiding Smoking. Okay, so we'll look at that in a moment, but good work. Thank you, Ashani. So advised me to avoid smoking. And
The verb
quit, yeah, of course, we can put quit. Can anyone think of anything else for quit?
Cease.
Not
Stop.
smoking.
Advise stopping smoking, yeah. Anything which is 2 words.
Give up.
Give up, yeah,
Give up.
yeah. And
Not
of course, you could use all of those there. People wouldn't really, I know it happens in OET sometimes that it says advised to cease smoking in the notes, but it's not very often that you would say cease as a verb. It's like something from ancient Rome, cease. Yeah, it just seems it's a bit strange. It's very, very formal, very old fashioned. You're much more likely to say stop or quit when it comes to something like smoking. Okay, let's keep going. So if you remember yesterday, these are the verb patterns. That's what we call it, a verb pattern. Oh, bless you.
So, thank you.
Okay, verb patterns. We got verb plus infinitive, which we've looked at. We've looked at verb plus gerund. We just looked at it there. We just introduced here verb plus object plus infinitive, and verb plus preposition plus gerund. So if we just take advise again, is that right? Is that a verb?
No.
no.
It's a noun, isn't it?
Advise.
It should be advise. Yeah, okay, good. Just checking. Okay. Now I can just hear I can hear my voice in someone's oh, now it's gone. Thank you. Okay. So advise. So the doctor advised me. So I'm going to put that in capitals to give up smoking. So we can see here that what we've got is this verb plus object. Now, why is me the object?
Because it's pronoun.
It's a pronoun for sure, yeah, but why is it the object?
Me.
Because advise me.
Yeah, the doctor is the subject. It's just like saying Paul kicked the ball. Paul is the subject. Kick is the verb, and the ball is the object. It receives the action of the verb, doesn't it? It receives the action of the verb. Okay, so the doctor advised me, I'm the object, and then the infinitive, to give up. So that here is the structure. Let me just put that. Okay, there's the infinitive. There's the original verb. I'm going to put that in green, and the object is in the middle. I'm going to put that blue. There's no significance to the colors. The doctor advised me to give up. Okay. So later on, we'll have a look at, or maybe tomorrow, it depends. We'll look at some strange cases. For instance, the word recommend, which is a bit confusing because recommend and advise seem really similar, but the grammar's a bit different. So like I was saying yesterday in our introduction class, where we did some introduction grammar for OET, the function of a word is important. So advise and recommend, very, very similar function. The form, the grammar can be different sometimes. So let me give you another pattern, the verb plus preposition plus gerund. But before we do that, we've just had a look what an object is. An object is when the object is the receiver of the action. Well, what's a preposition? What is a prep? You can give me some examples. Let's have some everyone can give me an example of a preposition.
With.
With is a good one.
Between.
Between.
About.
Of. About.
And.
On.
In.
From. In. Under.
For.
For. Between. Yeah. Okay. So let's stop there. Okay. So these are all prepositions, aren't they? We know they're all prepositions. And the general rule with a preposition is what?
Gerund.
And well, let's take a step back. What type of word is a gerund?
Noun.
Verb.
It's a noun.
Verb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, gerund is a noun. It's turning a verb into a noun. Okay. It's just, I suppose it's a bit like if you take apple and put it in a pie, it becomes a dessert. It's no longer a fruit. Yeah. Even though it's the same thing. By putting ing on the end of that verb, you turn it into a noun. By putting pastry and sugar and butter around an apple, you turn it into an apple pie. It's a dessert,
But
no longer a
doesn't
fruit.
work if you put apple ing after. Doesn't
No,
sound
no, you can't say appling. No, that doesn't
No.
work because
Appling.
apple's already a noun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, but it does work sometimes. Tabling, because sometimes we turn nouns into verbs.
Yes.
To table something or to chair something. For instance, if you're in a meeting, to chair it is to be the one that's in control of the meeting because I'm in the chair. Okay, so
Yeah.
who's chairing the meeting today? So it does happen, but it goes on a journey from being a noun to a verb and back to a noun again. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. Okay, so these are prepositions. Now, what do they do? What do prepositions do for us? That's a weird one, isn't it?
They located the action.
They locate the action. Yeah, they can do that. They can locate objects. So prepositions, I would say, if we go really back to basics, they are small words that link other words in sentences. I think that's pretty much what they do. And why do we want to link other words? Well, we want to link other words in order to, let's keep going, in order to say where, when, and how things happen. Would you agree with me? Do you think that sounds like a good definition? So if we think about it, the table is the table is in the room. My birthday is on the 9th of November. Okay, I want you to pick that up. Okay, that tells us everything about where, when, and how we want something to be done. Okay, so these are what prepositions do, and they're a bit strange. I'm sort of formulating a theory about prepositions that the more I teach them, the more I get close to it. I always think about prepositions that they've got a physical meaning, and then they've got a more abstract meaning. So just imagine the phrasal verb to pick up. Now, if I drop this on the floor, what does it mean to pick it up?
Pick up.
Pick up the pen.
No, it's action.
It means to pick something's this, isn't it? I'm going to pick it like that.
It's
And
action.
then up tells us the direction, doesn't it? It means off the floor and go up. So I pick it up. That means I take it off the floor and bring it up. But what does it mean if you pick up a language quickly?
You
Yes,
adapt.
Improve your skills.
You learn
You
it.
adapt.
Yes.
Yeah, you will learn that language. So it's interesting, isn't it? You don't physically take the language and then move it upwards, but it's got this first meaning, which is physical, up, and then you've got the abstract meaning to pick something up. It's like the language is on the floor where you don't know it, then you pick it up and now it's yours. So it's interesting. Prepositions have got these physical meanings. Anna, can you just put yourself on mute? I think I can hear it. Okay, so you've got this physical meaning, and then you've got more abstract meanings. And sometimes the prepositions don't seem to make sense. So for instance, where is the spider? It's on the ceiling. How can it be on the ceiling? It's upside down. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but most of the time with a preposition, you can step back to the physical meaning of it and then go in, realize why we use it in other times, in other situations. So for instance, if I say rely on, what does it mean to rely on? To rely.
Depends on.
Depend,
Trust,
yeah.
depend.
To trust something, to depend. So you've got rely on, depend on, lean on. Now, all of those three things, I lean on my friend for emotional support. I rely on my friend for emotional support. I depend on my friend for emotional support. I've got this feeling of on. It's on, like it's supporting my weight. So it's interesting. We'll do prepositions in a little bit more detail later, but I just wanted to just very, very quickly have a think about the prepositions because they're going to feature in the rest of our lesson when we look at these things here. Okay, look at that table. Looks complex. We've got lots of verbs there. Can you see any that are repeated? Any verbs repeated in there?
Require.
Require,
Intend,
intend,
Advise.
advise,
attention to detail. Yeah. So we've got
Advise.
want.
Want.
Okay, yeah. So what we're going to have a look at here is we're going to see that there are some verbs that can go into multiple boxes. We can use them in different ways. And then there are some verbs which don't even fall into this pattern, which is really frustrating. So first of all, let's look at intend. Okay, intend and intend on. Now look at the structure. We've got infinitive. So if I put something, let me ask somebody. Let's go for Shanika. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Shanika. How are you today?
I'm fine, sir.
That's good. Okay. Now, do you know the word intend? Have you seen?
Yes.
Okay, so it's something that you plan to do. Okay, so I could say Shanika intends to move to the UK. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. It's a nice plan. I like that plan. Okay. Now, we could also use it with a preposition. Now, a preposition, as we've just said, preposition is followed by a noun. So the apple is under the table, the spider is on the ceiling. You can't put a verb after it. So I can't say Shanika intends on move to the UK. I can't do that. Even though you understand it, it breaks the rules of English because after on, we have to put a gerund, and a gerund is with ing. So just Shanika, what do you think would go there instead of move?
Moving.
Is that Shanika?
Move.
Yeah, intends on moving. Now, those two sentences mean exactly the same thing. It's not like yesterday with try opening and try to open, or stop to smoke and stop smoking. All of these ones mean the same, even if they've got a gerund or infinitive. Okay, there seems to be a lot of shouting in someone's microphone there. So Shanika intends to move to the UK. Shanika intends on moving to the UK. So what we've got here is we've got a table of all of these things. So I'm going to ask Shiva, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Shiva. Okay, give me a sentence, please, with deny. Deny. Have you do you know the word deny?
Yeah.
Okay,
Deny
good.
means not accepting.
Yeah, to not accept the truth of something. Okay,
Okay.
so oh,
Okay. Mr. Jones
Mr. Jones
denies his job offer.
deny. Ah, well. Now this is why it's always a good thing to do to ask people to come up with a different reason. Now remember, what we're doing here is verb patterns. So when I don't just want you to put a noun after it. Whoops. I want you to try and put a verb after it and change the form. There seems to be a lot of noise coming from somewhere. Can you just, if you've got a noisy background, just put yourself on mute. Thanks. Okay. So there are two problems here. One, this isn't a verb. And two, you wouldn't deny a job offer. Now remember, I explained it as being to deny means to not accept the truth.
Okay.
There's a lot
I
of
denied
noise.
cheating on exam.
I don't know where that noise is. That there's a lot of noise coming in someone's. Ah, Aisha. Okay, Aisha. I've changed yours. Okay, so you
I
can't.
denied cheating on exam.
Okay, yeah, that's a perfect example. Yeah. So when we deny, we say that's not true. Okay. Whoops, Aisha, I'm going to put you on mute again. There's a lot. It sounds like you're in a loading yard. Okay. So Mr. Jones denies his job offer. You wouldn't do that. Can you think of a verb that would go there? Anybody?
Refuse to accept.
Refuse.
Accept.
Refuse. No.
Refuse to-
Refuse to accept. You could
Accept.
say that. Refuse to accept. But that's very strong. We declined. Turned down is a nice one as well. I like that. Yeah, this is what you would normally say. This is what you'd typically say. Declined his job offer, turned down his job offer. But you wouldn't deny it. Now, as Maddie said, Maddie denied cheating. Okay? Because look at the box. Gerund after deny. So Maddie denied cheating on her exam, but the teacher did not believe her. And as a result, what happened?
She fell.
She
Result were withheld.
she failed and she was expelled from the school. That's what, they say cheats never prosper. Okay, so deny, we didn't quite get right there the first time, but we got it right the second time. So let's be thinking when I choose you for an example, let's get the verb pattern. That's what I want. Okay, so how about encourage? Let's go for Laura. Laura.
Yes.
Encourage. Which type of people give encouragement?
In a race.
In a race, okay, so the crowd. Okay, the crowd would encourage. Okay, so tell me what the crowd did. Let's say that you were in a race. What did the crowd do?
The crowd encourages the racer to win.
Okay, interesting. I like it. It's an interesting tense, though, that you've chosen. Because you've chosen what? Do you know what tense that one is?
It's the present.
It's present simple. So
yeah.
What you're actually saying there is what normally happens. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? This is
Yes.
what normally. Oh, right. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy with it then. I always like to make sure that people know what tense they're using and why they're using it. Okay. So when you talk about the crowd, I could say to you, what role does a crowd play? Well, the crowd encourages the racer to win. That's fine. I like that. Okay. What about if it was in the past?
The crowd encouraged the racer to win.
Yeah, perfect. So you've got object plus infinitive, haven't you? To win goes at the end. The object is in the middle, and here's encourage. So I like that. That's very good. Thank you, Laura. Okay, let's go for Han.
Yeah.
Now, Han, I'm going to give you one where you have to make a choice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do require. Now, let me tell you, I've got a coat. Okay. And there's a button. Actually, no, there's a hole in the elbow. So can you think of a verb that you'd put and the form of the verb? So if I put my coat here, you can see where require is. Requires here, isn't it? It's in gerund and object infinitive.
Your coat.
Okay, your coat or my coat. Okay, your coat
is required.
Is required. Now, that's passive, isn't it? So are you sure you want passive in this? Because if you say it is required, let's say, let me give you an example if it was a person. Students are required. It would be a bit strange because students can do something. So your students are required to wear a uniform. Now that's okay. But there are times when even though the coat, it can't do anything, can it? A coat cannot mend itself. And it seems a bit strange to say that a coat requires something, but we do that. My car requires a new window.
Yeah.
Okay, my house requires renovation. You can do it. Okay, so your coat requires, let's just put it like that.
Okay.
Now, what would you put after it?
Your coat requires someone to mend it.
Okay, perfect. That's great. So here, which one are you using out of these categories?
I use object with infinity.
Exactly. So we've got requires, then we've got someone is the object, and we've got infinitive at the end, to mend. That's excellent. Now, I really like the word mend. Give me it with a gerund, please, Han.
Your coat requires mending.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that people would normally say that. It's a little bit different, isn't it, to use the object? Not the meaning is the same in terms of it needs mending. We know it still needs fixing. But if you say it requires someone to mend it, by including the object, you're making me think of the person. Now, you know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of a little old man with an apron and a hat on with a needle and thread. Okay. But if you say it requires mending, I'm only thinking about the coat. So you're making a choice, aren't you? To say it in two different ways.
I think it also depends on the person I talk to. For example, if I talk to with a man, he never do the sewing before. So I may say that. So he will take his coat to
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, requires it could be requires a tailor.
Yeah.
You could be specifying exactly who you want to do it. Yeah, so it's a good thing to do. So this is why our language is so diverse and has got so many different ways of doing things, because we want to say tiny little differences between sentences. That's why it's good to learn the grammar. Okay, thanks, Han. That's great. Okay, let's go for another one. I'm going to stop the stream there. If anyone's got any questions, please do